Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a real estate office in Minecraft for all of your city building needs. In this tutorial, not only will I show you how to make the entire outside of the build, but I have also designed the entire inside as well. Fun fact, I'm hidden somewhere in the intro of this video. Leave a comment down below letting me know if, where and when you found me. The first person to get it right will have their comment pinned. This is the amount of space required to make the build, a 15 by 15 block area as represented by this very handy grid on the screen. To find the starting position, begin at the front left hand corner of the grid, count to the right, find the second block, and then count inwards, find the third block. That is where we start. And here are all of the materials that we will use throughout the build. Please do make sure that you have access to all of these. Begin the build by placing 2 bricks in a row on the ground. 1, 2. Extend to the right by 1. Dig to the right by 1. Place an oak plank with a mangrove door on top. Then place 10 bricks extending right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then extend backwards by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then extend all the way across and join all the way back to where we first started, to give us this. Next, we want to grab our quartz pillar and place a row of 4 on top of this brick. 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to place a row of white concrete extending to the right, and the goal is to extend and almost reach the end here. However, we actually want to place a brick here and then meet the row of white concrete with a row of quartz pillar. We then want to place a row of 3, 1, 2, 3 mangrove shelves like this, and then a brick, 3 more shelf, 1, 2, 3, and then a brick. Then we want to extend quartz pillar up on top of the brick, dividing this area up nicely. Then we are going to extend the row of white concrete down, just like this. We should probably remove the pillar in between. That was a minor oversight. Then we are going to extend the pillars backwards, like this, into the building. So we can place quartz pillar behind the white concrete, just like so. Then we want to seal up these 2 sections with glass. I'm contemplating whether I would like to have white concrete inside of the building. This will be what the inside wall looks like, or alternatively, we could have a cleaner look using quartz pillar. But sometimes it's interesting to get a mixture of texture, so do you prefer this, a more uniform look, or will you prefer the white concrete? I'm going to try out the white concrete, but I have a sense that the pillar may look better. Next, we will place a glass block above the mangrove door here, and then we will place quartz pillar either side. So the effect that we will have from the opposite side of the build is this. Next, we are going to grab smooth quartz slabs, and we have the option of placing these just underneath the exposed white concrete blocks over the windows. I think it looks pretty nice. I also have another option for you. So above this area of the build, you can either use quartz pillar again, which again, it looks nice and uniform. It's a nice looking block in my opinion. And from here, we would then add some stone brick slabs into this position, and we would extend them forwards, and then left and up until we, roughly speaking, reach the middle of the building, about here. And then we would do the same on the opposite side. We can do this to find the apex of the roof without having to do any counting. So that's nice and all. Or enter the frame, smooth quartz block. Instead, we can make the upper half of the build smooth quartz as to once again shake the textures up a little bit. This stops the build looking a little bit too flat in my opinion, but again, that's just my opinion. I think that that's visually a little bit more interesting. And alternatively, you could just go with a row of pillar quartz just across the top there and then add the smooth quartz, or any combination of the three. Personally, I think that a quartz pillar just on the ends here, just to frame it in, will look rather nice, and that's the way that I'm going to have it. Which leads us on to this next bit. So on the right side of the build here, I'm going to add an extra quartz pillar, and then 2 glass, 1, 2, quartz pillar, 2 glass, and then the rest of the side of the build is just quartz pillar. And I'm going to raise up these quartz pillar, like this, and the glass in between. Above these glass, I am going to use smooth quartz block. I'm actually going to place 2 rows just like this, and then I'm going to fill in between these in with quartz pillar, and just a row across the top. Or, once again, alternatively, we can sneak a bit of smooth quartz in, like this, in which case you will probably want to shrink the amount of smooth quartz block just above these windows again, just to have a mild texture change, and that looks pretty nice if I do say so myself. And we can also apply this to the opposite side of the build as well, so I'm literally just going to look straight ahead from this side and copy what I've done. From here, we can just shift our attention to the back of the build. This is really simple. We are just going to seal the back of this up using a quartz pillar, and we are just going to add that extra row of smooth quartz just at the very top. So it will just look a little something like this. Before we move on, I think it's a really good idea to remove all of the grass from inside the build. And to replace it with oak planks. From here, we are able to make the rest of the roof. So to begin, I'm just going to make the smooth quartz portion of it. I'm achieving this, you might be able to tell by looking directly forward and just copying those blocks, and then extending the stone brick blocks backwards to begin with. And we are also just overhanging the back of the build, of course. And then we are able to add the stone brick slabs. Just to form the outline of the roof. And then we can just connect these slabs front to back. An optional extra is to replace the window on this side of the build with a chimney. To do that, we can just run a row of bricks all the way up the side of the build like this. It wants to end up being roughly the same height as the apex. We can then extend the bricks inwards and then add a back-to-back row of bricks just at the top here. And if you are looking to be a bit fancier, we can add some flower pots to the top. That's if you wanted to give it a chimney though, it's not really necessary, it's a very minor detail. I'm in the mood to remove all of the remaining grass and grit from around the build. And we can replace all of it with smooth stone or your pavement material of choice. Getting really into just regular stone recently, and just regular andesite. Now from here, I'm going to add a flower pot, fern, stone pressure plate, stone button. So when it comes to these windows, I'm going to recommend that you just add a few different pictures. So paintings like this, kind of ambiguous looking ones. That, I mean, these could literally be anything, like from far away. Like if you squint, you could be like, yeah, that looks like a property. And if you think that to yourself when looking at any of these paintings, then you've chosen the right one. I'll give you an alternative idea to these later. We also want to place 1, 2 pale oak fence here, pale oak slab here, extend to the right, pale oak sign underneath this, and I'm just going to write for sale like this with just a bunch of dashes above and below, and that's just kind of like a fun for sale sign. Next, we are going to make the sign for our real estate office. Throw down the loom, open it up, place a white banner in there with black dye. We literally just want to write out the words real estate in letters. So the first letter is R. This is the Pale Dexter pattern, Chief, and then Bend. Next is E. This is Pale Dexter, Chief, Fess, and Base. Next is A. This is Pale Dexter, Pale Sinister, Chief, and then Fess. Next is L. This is Pale Dexter, and then Base. Next would be E, but we have one, so instead, S. This is Chief, Base, and Bend. Next is T. This is Pale, and then Chief. Then would be A, but we already have it. And then T, but we already have it. And then E, but we already have it. So now we are just going to write R, E, A, L, space, E, S, T, A, T, E. Perfect. Real estate. And we can add another banner here. So I'm going to put these into storage just right here. I do have them on the front of the building, but I always like to have a second set because I never want to remake a banner. Next, I want to make a banner that resembles a house. So open up the limb, white banner in there, red dye, creeper charge pattern, remove the pattern, then place white dye in there, and apply the perfast pattern. Put red dye in, and apply the lozenge pattern. Put white dye back in there, and apply the base pattern. And there you go. This looks suspiciously like a Monopoly hotel. But regardless, it does look like, if we take a closer look, a teeny tiny little house. And it makes a nice logo. With the entire outside of the build complete, we can now head inside and work on the interior. To begin, we will place a brick here. And then we will place 2 bookshelves extending behind and to the left. A brick here. 2 more bookshelves, 1, 2. A brick here. And then we will extend over to the left. We will then extend the bookshelves up by 3 rows like this. And then we will place quartz pillar on top of the bricks, just like so. And then smooth quartz slab across the top of the bookshelves. And then we will place either quartz pillar like this, or we can even use a mixture of smooth quartz block as well, just so that we are consistent with the outside too. So I do think that this happens to look a little bit better. We also have to have a 2x2 square of black concrete built into this wall, which I just forgot about, with some mangrove signs like this. And this actually has a purpose, so once again we need a loom. Let's throw one down, open it up, white banner in there with some black dye, and we are looking for the per, bend, sinister, inverted pattern. That's quite a mouthful. And then the white die. And then we are looking for the pale Dexter pattern. Then we are looking for the base Dexter Canton pattern. Then we want to put another banner in there, fresh one, with some black dye, and we want to have the opposite of this. So we want the per bend inverted pattern, then white dye in there, and then the pale sinister pattern, followed by the base sinister Canton pattern. And with these, we can actually join them together, and it just looks like a house. Next, we are going to place a decorated pot here in the corner, flower pot inside of it, fern here. We then want to place a row of smooth quartz blocks, so we want to leave a gap of 1 and place 1, 2, 3, 4, extending out from this wall. We then want to position a polished blackstone stairs here behind this desk with black banners either side of the stair. We then want to have a polished blackstone pressure plate here, barrier here, painting in front of it, and then from here we can just have a flower pot, and we can stick a lantern here, and we can even remove a row in front of this, and we can place a row of red terracotta, just like so. And this is kind of just like a welcome desk slash small reception area. Then a decorated pot in the corner, flower pot here, fern inside, and then against this wall, a cauldron, oak trapdoor on top, 2 blocks of iron like this, stone button here. We then want to place 2 smooth quartz block like this, with a flower pot here, then a brewing stand here, and then all the way over here in this corner we will have a desk. So this is made with a pale oak shelf positioned like this, 2 pale oak slabs, shelf on the end, then we will stick 1 chair here, and then 1 chair here. Then we will place mangrove signs either side of each chair. And then on this desk, the usual like pressure plate, and then we can stick a barrier here, painting here, and then anything here. So it could be an item frame with some paper in it or whatever you like. Then that leaves us a little bit more room for 2 more desks. So these are a bit different in that we are going to place 2 rows of 2 pale oak slabs extending out from the bottom row of the bookshelves, and we can stick like a pale oak shelf here and here, and we can even join the desks here together, or we can have like a pale oak shelf like this and then a slab like so. So they're kind of, so this is meant to look like a drawer or something, so maybe we can like join this down to the floor. So from here we can add just a barrier here, here, and we want to have a painting here, and I guess we could actually go for like a double-sized monitor, so maybe like here and here if we wanted to. And then we just want to add our usual chairs in the form of mangrove stairs with signs either side. The only problem is if we stick that one there, then the shelf is in the way. Just like so. That's perfect. And we can have our pressure plates like this. We could even have like a rail, maybe even like an item frame, paper. We can even stick like a button on here as well. We can just make it look nice and busy. And I think that we have achieved this effect. I kind of wish that we could make, like, I wish that we could make this a different colour, but I actually tried to add like an area rug in here, kind of like in this position, right? But it never looked quite right. Like, no matter what colour or what have you that I tried to use, like, it just didn't look good, even just like regular terracotta. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't quite work, in my opinion. I'll leave it for now, but on the inside of all of the windows, kind of like similarly to how we have the outside, I think that it's a good idea to have just a bunch of paintings, so some 1x1s. And there are actually a couple of house banners that you can make, which is what we're going to be doing when we transition into the next phase of this. But there are a few different house banners which do look not too bad, to be quite honest. So something like this, some sort of arrangement like that, all looks quite nice. We also have to smooth off the walls a little bit. So like here, we just have to add some more smooth quartz. I'm thinking that we kind of keep with the theme and add some smooth quartz above like the door and what have you, and then we add some quartz pillar just to keep consistent. I think it's quite a nice balance of textures with all of the different white blocks, to be honest. And we can add one of these. Has got to be slabs. Yep. Okay, so we can add a layer of slabs. Maybe that's the wrong place to start. So we can add a layer of slabs underneath the ceiling, which is also the roof, to give it a much more transition sort of effect. And we get to keep the nice high ceilings. And we also have to add some hanging lights. So I'm going to add them. I believe this is... nope. Here. So I'm going to add 1, 2 chains here, and 1, 2 chains here, and on the opposite side in the equivalent place as well. So we're just going to have like 4 lights with lanterns dangling down. You can even mount them 1 row higher if you like, so they're not quite as low. And then we can just add mangrove signs around these. And those will be the lights. I did trial adding another row, kind of like up the middle, or down the middle I should say. It didn't quite like it. It looked a bit too busy, but that's just my opinion. Feel free to try it. And here we go. This is looking like a nice lively office. Right, couple of house banners for you. Throw down loom, open it up, throw a light blue banner in there with some brown dye and apply the lozenge pattern. Grab that, put that back in, throw the creeper charge in there, grab that, put that back in, remove the charge, put light blue dye in there and apply the per fess pattern. Then, grab that, put that back in, brown dye in there this time and apply the roundel pattern. Grab that, put that in there with some black dye and apply the base pattern. Put that back in with some green dye this time and apply base again, and that gives us our first house banner. So if you like, you can replace, say, these with that. Another one for you. Open up the loom, throw a black banner in there with some brown dye and apply the chief pattern. Grab that, put that back in with some black dye and the bourgeois indented pattern. Grab that, put that back in with some light grey dye and apply the lozenge pattern. Grab that, put that back in there with light grey dye and the flow pattern. Grab that, put that back in, remove both of those and apply and throw some black dye in there and apply the bourgeois pattern. Grab that, put that back in with some green dye and apply the per fess inverted pattern. And that is another house. A very villagery looking house, if I do say so myself. Huh, I guess a painting can slide behind a banner. That's kind of an interesting look. I'm going to be honest, I did not know that. Last one for you, open up a loom, throw a white banner in there with light blue dye, and apply this gradient effect, the base gradient. Throw that in there with some brown dye and a creeper charge. Grab that, put that back in, remove the creeper charge and apply some light blue dye. And we then want to use the per fess pattern. Grab that, put that back in, put some brown dye in there and apply the lozenge pattern. Grab that, put that back in with some lime dye and apply the base pattern. Put green dye in there, apply the base pattern again, and that's the banner. So, fun fact, you can actually make that house any colour, simply just replace the brown dye for, well, like I said, just any colour really. With that final detail added, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially completed this tutorial. However, this video is not over. We must now add our real estate office into our city. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we have a first for this series. We are going to build this real estate office in 2 places. First of all, we are just going to add it to one of our high streets. It makes sense for it to be here, but it also makes sense to place this on the edge of a new suburban construction site so that you can actually buy the houses that are being built. You might have actually seen something very similar to this in real life if you have any new construction near you. So that's a fun first for the city. We never usually place more than 1 ever.
You may be interested in becoming a channel member. You can click the join button that will be somewhere on the screen right now. This does cost money and is a monthly subscription, but you do get some perks. The first of which is a download link for my city design world. This has every single build that I have placed in my city, arranged in order, and labeled. This perk also comes with schematics for the mods Lightmatica and World Edit, so you can easily reference and copy and paste these builds into your worlds in any way that you'd like. However, if you're not interested in any of that building business, the highest tier allows you to download the most current version of Mini-City. There are also some minor perks, including loyalty badges displayed next to your name whenever you comment something down below on my videos. Depending on how long you have been a channel member, you gain a more prestigious helmet, with the highly coveted gold builder's hat being the most valuable. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.